it's a nightmare that no one ever imagines living through. A quiet, unassuming classmate suddenly turns into a school shooter. That's what happened at Apalachee High School when 14-year-old Colt Gray opened fire, leaving 4 dead and a community in shock. Today, we're diving into the chilling details of that tragic day, including the unsettling behavior Gray displayed just moments before the attack. Could anyone have seen this coming, or was it an inevitable tragedy? Let's get into the details. The morning of the shooting started like any other at Apalachee High School. But for students in one algebra class, it would soon become the setting of an unthinkable horror. Laila Sayarath, a junior at the school, sat next to 14-year-old Colt Gray that morning. Describing him as a quiet, introverted student, she recalled that he often skipped class and rarely spoke. Little did she know, the quiet teen beside her would soon be at the center of a devastating tragedy. According to Sayarath, there were no immediate signs that anything was wrong. Gray excused himself from class at around 9:45 a.m., which wasn't unusual given his tendency to skip classes. But just 30 minutes later, the school's active shooter alert sounded, and the nightmare began. Gray reappeared at the door of their classroom, and though at first it seemed like he was simply returning from his usual absence, the situation quickly escalated when a fellow student went to open the door, only to recoil in horror upon seeing Gray holding a gun. In a split second, terror gripped the room. Gray didn't enter their class, but instead began shooting in the classroom next door. Students hit the floor, crawling and piling on top of one another in a desperate attempt to avoid the gunfire. Laila's friend, who was in the neighboring classroom, witnessed a horrifying scene, someone being shot right in front of him. He emerged shaken, bloodied, and limping, forever marked by the traumatic experience. In the chaos that followed, Colt Gray shot 13 people, killing 4 and injuring many others. Among the victims was 14-year-old Mason Schermerhorn, an autistic student whose family is now left to grapple with unimaginable grief. The names of the other victims have not yet been released, but authorities are working to determine if Gray specifically targeted anyone in his rampage. The big question on everyone's mind is how a 14-year-old got his hands on a firearm and what could have driven him to commit such a heinous act. While the investigation is ongoing, authorities have confirmed that Gray will be charged with murder and tried as an adult. The aftermath of the shooting left the school in chaos. Images from the scene showed terrified students flooding the campus as panicked parents rushed to the school, desperate to reunite with their children. One mother described the scene as pure chaos, a sentiment that echoes the pain and confusion now felt across the entire community. The tragedy at Apalachee High School is a heartbreaking reminder of the fragile nature of life and the devastating impact of gun violence. As the investigation unfolds, we can only hope for answers to help the survivors and the families of the victims begin to heal. This is a tragedy that no community should ever have to endure, and our hearts go out to the families of the victims and everyone affected by this horrific event. As authorities continue their investigation, we'll be keeping a close eye on any developments and updates. Thank you for tuning into the Fame Journey. Please consider subscribing for more updates on this and other important stories. And as always, stay safe and look out for one another. If you found this video helpful, please like and share it to spread awareness. Together, we can support those who need it most during these difficult times.